Oh, good evening, everybody. This is John Craig, and it's great to be back with you on another Walking in Spirit and Truth. And we've been walking through on a journey the book of Jubilees. So that's where we're going to pick up where we left off last week, and pretty excited about what we're going to discover. Now, remember what we're doing. This is a journey. This is not a biblical hermeneutical break it apart type of study. This is just like pulling out the adventure. Yeah, we'll compare some things that are within the corresponding Torah portions, and connect the dots within the other parts of the scripture and the Brit Hadashah, etc. Apostolic writings. It's good to look at it that way as well. But you know what? It's still just about this journey. Just like we did Enoch, it was a journey. We discovered all sorts of different things in that. If you want to catch those, you can go back to the our whole series we did on the book of Enoch, and there's a lot in there. We took our time and we went step by step to tear it apart, to look at it, and found all sorts of amazing discoveries. And so here we are in the book of Jubilees, continuing with these discoveries. In fact, we're already up to chapter 21, and so we got a little bit of ways to go on it. So we're going to continue to tear that apart. And just want to say, yeah, for those that are joining us for the first time, wow, we're not even halfway through. There's 50 chapters in the book of Jubilees. Go figure, right? Jubilee, 50, Yovel. All right. So my name is John Craig, and my wife and I pastor Life of Worship Ministries here in Amarillo, Texas, and we would love for you to join us. We go online on Shabbat, as well as locally. We have our local congregation where we're meeting at the Staybridge Inn in the conference room on Shabbat. So come join us there at Staybridge Inn behind Mardell Christian Bookstore. And we'd love for you to be part of that, where we do our Torah portion. And online, we do our Torah portion here on the Life of Worship Ministries YouTube channel. So you can be part of it. And then that's at noon Central Time. And we go for a couple hours. And you can actually join us. We invite people to come into the room with us, not only just in the chat, but also to be part of our discussion online, and be part of our vocal midrash besides those that are locally with us. So you can do that and join us. You just got to let us know if you want a link. We'll send you a link. We don't want any trolls. No, we just want people that are going to just add and contribute to the discussion on the Torah portion. We also have our encounter service. So that's at from basically 12 to 2 p.m. Central Time. So you adjust accordingly to the time zone that you're in. And then at 3 p.m. Central Time, we have a time of praise and worship and ministry. And then we break it off, and then we jump into a second stream immediately after that for the message during our encounter service. You can join us online that way. We don't invite people to be part of the room that way other than in the chat, but you can be part of our gathering here online. And if you're local, we want you to come join us and meet with us there at the Staybridge Inn. If we do change things up, we'll let you know, but that's where we're meeting right now. All right. One other thing is we certainly want to just give a shout out to everybody that's been giving to this ministry, those that have been able to give online because of our congregation that spreads across the continent. We certainly appreciate your help and your ministry in giving, as we're able to help with the different ministry needs that we have and the bills that we have. In fact, we have our entire congregational equipment and furniture and all sorts of supplies. It's all in storage right now because we're waiting for that proper place to open up for us to be able to unpack it all, and Yah willing. So we have it all in storage, waiting for that right place that we will fit in and will be a good fit for everybody. So we have everything in storage. And so with that, it comes with some other type of bills and everything else that goes along with the ministry. If you haven't been part of the ministry, there's different expenses. So we would love for you to be part of that. And, where you can go online to www.lifeofworshipamarillo.org. You just saw it flash on the screen, and you can go there, hit the donate button, and you can be able to give online. You can also find our mailing address online as well. and you can mail a check or money order or cash or whatever fits your way of giving, and you can help support the ministry that way. We certainly appreciate your prayer support. And if you're not able to give online or you're giving to another ministry, please keep us in prayer that y'all does meet all of our financial needs. So with all of that, I want to say, let's jump in to Jubilees, chapter 21. By the way, I want to give a shout out to those that are joining us online. It's great to see you. Chapter 21, Terry, that's where we're at. And I see Tammy's joined us online. And I pray that Eddie is continuing to get better, full of energy, and pain-free after going through that surgical procedure, having a pacemaker this last week. And so, I mean, I saw some good things online that because of the Tammy, I mean, you're taking care of Eddie, and apparently on Monday morning during the war room, and we saw the note that he was pain free, which is pretty cool. 3 days after that surgery, so I hope he's continuing to do well and recover, and no negative side effects, no infection, nothing, no irritations, just a good working heart. Amen. All right. Hallelujah. Here we go. Chapter 21, Jubilees. So, where did we leave off? This last week, we were it was basically breaking it down how Abraham had called Ishmael and Ishmael's 12 sons, and Itzhak and his 2 sons, and his own other 6 sons by Keturah, and he gave them the commandments, like, you need to make sure you're living right. And we also had that discussion that's like, who's Keturah? Because we talked about how the rabbis had said, well, Keturah may be another name for Hagar, and she was an Egyptian, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I just speculated that, which you can put on the shelf, that I just speculated that perhaps Keturah was the daughter of Abraham's servant. The servant that went to find a wife, a bride for Yitzhak. Could it be his daughter? Because if Abraham was saying, here's my servant, and he's the only heir to everything that I have, that he wouldn't even recognize him as possibly an heir had he not been of the same stature as Abraham. Think about all the different things we've talked about, the characteristic of Abraham. Well, if he had a daughter, she would have been raised in that household, and she would have had the same belief system as Abraham, and therefore would have been a fit wife for Abraham after Sarah died. Just saying that possibly she was a daughter of his bondservant, because I think it said that she came from those that were with him. So, of that big, Abraham wasn't just by himself out there with his wife and his son out there, with a bunch of sheep. He had a whole bunch of people with him. And so if he had a whole bunch of people with him, then of course there would have been quite a selection for him to marry and have more kids and all that. That was my speculation, is that perhaps she would have been of that stature, of that, instead of having, where else would he have found a wife and really would have been qualified for it? That's just my thought after, with all of that. So I'm going to stick to that thought until something else changes my mind, because you know how studying things out, and over time more things get revealed, but I can only in that way. So that's where we left off. That message that he gave his sons is like, look, you need to live a clean life. We actually even went forward into Acts chapter 16, talking how James addressing the council in Jerusalem, and how he said, look, all these new people coming into the faith, tell them to do these things: abstain from idols, do not commit fornication, don't be eating animals that have been strangled, don't eat the blood. Remember those that's basically what Abraham just said. Because why? Because the Torah is taught every Shabbat in the synagogue. Yeah, you're right. Hagar would have been way past childbearing age, so it wouldn't make sense. So, see, think about the rabbis. They don't call them rabbi trails for nothing. I'm just saying. I mean, what do you think? But nevertheless, here we are jumping into Jubilees. I mean, they do, because a lot of it is like, well, they're not talking fact. They're just kind of talking about illustrations to make you think about different. But some people, because are very concrete minded, so they're like they're they're telling these things that this is the way it happened. And no, it's not necessarily. When you read the midrashes, it's not exactly what it always means. It's always, if we look at it in terms of illustrations, to illustrate different points, except when they go off the rails and call Yeshua all sorts of bad stuff. But nevertheless, we won't go there. We'll keep it clean. Jubilees gives us another perspective. I like this perspective. It's very interesting, isn't it? Because you think it's the download. It's the download at the beginning of the book that Moses received on the mountain. So kind of fills in some gaps, perhaps. I don't know. That's why we call it a journey. Very interesting thoughts. Chapter 21 of Jubilees, verse 1. And in the 6th year of the 7th week of this Jubilee, Abraham called Isaac his son and commanded him, saying, I am become old. And no, not the day of my death. And no, not the day of my death. He's like, it's coming up when he says it that way. And am full of my days. Is it like, I'm just done? I just feel like I'm done. I hope he's not just saying it that way, but he's had a full life. Perhaps that's how he's really what he really means. I mean, I've had a full life, and I don't know when I'm going to die, but I've had a full life. And he goes on and says, and behold, I am 175 years old. Well, I guess he figures out he's getting pretty close, isn't he? 175 years old. Isn't that how long he lived? And throughout all the days of my life, I have remembered Yahweh, and sought with all my heart to do his will and to walk uprightly in all his ways. After all, uh, he just told his sons, exhorted them to live a clean life, right? According to Torah. And he says, I've remembered Yahweh and sought him with all my heart to do his will and to walk uprightly in his ways. My soul has hated idols. Well, and why? Because we read about what he did with his father's idols. I mean, he burned the place down. Okay. Given my heart and Ruach, that I might observe to do the will of him who created me. It goes really back to that divine revelation. He was the rebel. I mean, after the flood, and we get some generations away from Noah, and all of a sudden there's all this corruption that's entered in. And we talked about that. We talked about why the corruption had entered into the land. And it says, my soul has hated idols, given my heart and Ruach, that I might, and given my heart and spirit, that I might observe to do the will of him who created me. For he is the living Elohim, and he's holy and faithful, and he is righteous beyond all. And there is with him no accepting of men's persons and no accepting of gifts. Well, in other words, Yah cannot be bribed. And even if one thinks that they have a certain level of tremendous stature and position in life, it doesn't sway Yah, because he's not going to be persuaded because of one's wealth, uh, his authoritative position, governmental position, or any other thing. He's the ultimate perfect judge. Okay. For Elohim is righteous and executes judgment on all those who transgress his commandments and despise his covenant. I mean, it's cut and dry. It's like you either follow him or you don't. And it's pretty clear. And it doesn't matter how many orphanages you built, or how many hospitals you built, or how many people that you brought to Yeshua. That doesn't really matter, does it? I mean, we need to be fulfilling the purposes for which God's called us. Exactly. I mean, that we should be doing that. But on this other side of it, he's like, but Are we transgressing his commandments? Are we despising his covenant? Are we making up excuses why we don't follow the covenants of Yah? Well, it's all under the blood, and therefore I can live the way I want to live. Well, that's not biblical. Even when you go back to the 16th chapter of Acts, it's not biblical, because you need to, it's because the Torah is taught in the synagogues every Shabbat. All right, just saying. So no, why is it taught? It's to keep us to following the paths of righteousness. Okay. And do you, my son, observe his commandments and his ordinances and his judgments, and walk not after the abominations and after graven images and after the molten images, and eat no blood at all of animals or cattle or any bird which flies in the heaven? Yeah, stay away from blood. We had a conversation earlier today, is that one of the dishes, I don't know if it's a, I don't think it's a delicacy. I think it's just kind of a normal, part of what they eat in Great Britain, is like blood pudding. Whoa. And then Sandy went on to describe how they make it. I'm like, whoa. I mean, not, that was before I was even following Torah. I was like, I'm not going to eat blood. Why do they eat blood? But they do. They eat blood. Saying this is part of their dishes in Great Britain. Well, okay. And eat no blood at all of animals or cattle or of any bird which flies in the heaven. And if, yeah, why don't they tell that against the predatory class? Okay, I don't mean to, you know, I don't mean to go there, but you know what I'm saying. And if you do slay a victim as an acceptable peace offering, slay ye it, and pour out its blood upon the altar, and all the fat of the offering offer on this altar with fine flour, and the meat offering mingled with oil, with its drink offering, offer them all together on the altar offering. It is a sweet savor before Yahweh. See, there you go. Just pour out the blood. Don't go drinking blood. It's pretty disgusting when you think about what's being revealed in the Epstein files and all those emails and stuff. I mean, it's not just the trafficking. It's about, what's really it. There's weapons trafficking, there's people trafficking, and there's infant trafficking, and there's blood trafficking. It's all in there. The eating the flesh of, oh, I'm not even going to go there. It's bad. It's bad. And here, even Abraham is telling them, hey, what are you doing? Don't do that, guys. That's a predatory class. I don't like to call them. Please don't go there. Okay. All right. It's not an elite. It's not the elites. They're predators. Just saying. Okay. I'm sorry. I have to, I'm just, this is the reality that we're living in. If we don't get this, we're just putting our head in the sand, and just as if we're just ignoring, as if it's not happening around us and we're going to go on. No, because this is warfare. They believe it's warfare. They're empowering themselves. And we need to understand how we empower ourselves and come against the rulers of this dark world. And because it's warfare first in the spiritual. Okay. And I think that's what he's saying here. I mean, let's if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. They are evil, Terry. They are absolutely evil. I mean, it is so dark. It is so dark. But that's why we read the scripture, because we have to understand what the evil is and how bad it is, because we need to understand how depraved these classes are. If there's going to be an elite class, I think that's going to be us. Those that follow Yeshua, we're the elite class. Let's get that right. All right. So, and you will offer the fat of the sacrifice of thank offerings on the fire, which is upon the altar, and the fat which is on the belly, and all the fat on the inwards, and the two kidneys, and all the fat that's upon them, and upon the loins and the liver, you shall remove together with the kidneys, and offer all of these for a sweet savor, acceptable for Yahweh. Yeah, because we don't eat the organs, right? He's just saying that. I mean, that's what we study in Torah. And so here's Abraham telling Isaac, Isaac, he's telling him, look, this is how you do it. Don't you forget it. Don't just think that he's like, because I know you, son. I know you very well. And because I know you favor Esau, but Esau's a scoundrel. So I'm just going to tell you, keep it straight, that Jacob is the one that has my blessing. Last week, right? Or at least the time before last, when we were talking about Rivka. It's like Abraham tells her, don't let Esau get the blessing. I'm giving Jacob my blessing. Because Isaac doesn't include. All right, and after and offer all these for a sweet savor acceptable before Yahweh, and with its meat offering, with its drink offering for a sweet savor, the bread of the offering unto Yahweh to Yahweh. Verse 10, and eat its meat on that day and on the second day, and let not the sun on the second day go down and upon it till it is eaten, and let nothing be left over for the third day. Have we not heard that before? Yeah, because if you think about it, that's when you don't have refrigerators or anything like that. Everything goes toxic. You don't want to eat it. So there's a warning. You always just I understand these things at some point in time in the future. You guys will understand this too. But if you just heed my advice and just follow my instructions, you will live. But isn't it also kind of referring back to a future point in time, like the resurrection? Yeah, something like that. For it's not acceptable, for it is not approved, and let it no longer be eaten. And all who eat thereof, like on the third day, thereof will bring sin upon themselves. For thus I have found it written in the Sepharim of my forefathers, and in the words of Hanok, and in the words of Noah, and in all your oblations you shall strew salt. In all your oblations you shall strew salt. You have the salt sacrifice. And let not the salt of the covenant be lacking in all of your oblations before Yahweh. Okay, why? Because salt's a preservative. So use it. I'm not talking about the sodium chloride that comes out of the salt shakers. We need to make sure we know where we're getting our salt from. And by the way, Himalayan salt, that is a whole nother story. But if you go do your research on Himalayan salt, isn't it interesting that they find veins of Himalayan salt? Veins. Think about it. Veins of Himalayan salt. And how interesting, when they find these things, it really resembles meat in many different ways. I'm telling you, go look it up. Go look up Himalayan salt and where does it come from? What does it look like? What does it remind you of? Just do some research on it. In other words, what Sandy and I've done is that we're like it's the Celtic sea salt, and if we don't have that, at least it's sea salt. But we prefer the Celtic sea salt because it's so rich and full of minerals. Okay, just moving on. And see, we're not kind of like a journey of our life along mixed in with the journey here on Jubilees. Just discoveries that we've made. Yeah, Terry, as in blood. What I'm telling you, it looks like blood, it looks like meat. When you go and you look at the documentation, the documentaries on Himalayan sea salt, it looks like blood and it looks like meat. And there's like, well, what would it have come from? Well, where are they? They're in the mountains. And what happened in the flood? What happened to the giants in the flood? Perhaps their bodies ended up getting petrified. Just saying. That's how I lean. You put it on the shelf and you go discover it for yourself. All right, moving on. In all your oblations, you shall strew salt, and let not the salt of the covenant be lacking in your oblations before Yahweh. And as regards the wood of the sacrifices, beware lest you bring other wood for the altar in addition to these. So, okay, don't bring any other wood. This is the word that you're supposed to use: cypress, bay, almond, fir, pine, cedar, savin, or savin. Okay, fig. I don't know what type of wood that is. Fig, olive, myrrh, laurel, and aspalathus. Aspalathus. I'm going to have to look up those. All right. So, nevertheless, these are good words. Well, if you think about it, think about all the medicinal qualities that come out of the fruit and out of the sap of those trees. That would make a good, savory fire for Yah. I just think it would. And why bring anything else? And of these kinds of woods, lay upon the altar under the sacrifice such as have been tested as to their appearance. And do not lay thereon any split or dark wood, but hard and clean, without fault, a sound and new growth. And do not let thereon old wood, for its fragrance is gone. For there's no longer fragrance in it as before. I mean, think about what a good pine. No. Okay. Amber alert. Okay, think about a good pine. Like a good pine fire. It's got that rich resin of the pine sap. I can imagine like frankincense wood or myrrh wood burning. Wouldn't that be something? I mean, no, it is something. I mean, I've never smelled frankincense wood burning, but I know what a good pine fire smells like. I mean, the pine does burn up pretty quick. Typically, a lot of times we use oak because it lasts longer. It's a good hard wood, but it's not an approved wood for the altar. Or pecan. Pecan, man, it does smoke a good brisket with good pecan wood. Mesquite does too, but it's not; those are not approved woods for the altar. Okay, just saying. And unless they have some relationship to the bay or the savin or the aspalathus, I don't gotta look that up. We got more discoveries we need to do. Maybe you're in the chat. Maybe you can look those up and see what family of trees those are part of. Okay. But don't put the old wood in there because the fragrance is gone and there's no longer fragrance in it as before. So the aroma is not going to be so good. Besides these kinds of wood, there's none other that you shall place on the altar, for the fragrance is dispersed. Yeah, they don't smell as good. It's not rich. What aroma? And the aroma itself, I wonder how much. Yeah, because you get a good fire. I mean, it does drive the bugs away. And you get a good, but you get these aromas coming out. I think that's good. Well, I think the pine does burn fast because of the sap. I mean, the sap, the sap is pretty flammable, isn't it? Right? So just don't drink the pine oil, okay? Yeah. Okay. All right. So going on, and but pine essential oil, like cypress essential oil, and juniper essential oil, those are rich. Those are really good for the body too. And the smell of its fragrance goes not up. Yeah, because you don't want to use that as wood because the fragrance is dispersed, or if it's old, and the smell of its fragrance goes not up to heaven. Observe this commandment and do it, my son, that you may be upright in all your deeds, and at all times be clean in your body, and wash yourself with water before you approach to offer on the altar. We don't want that BO to go up with the aroma of the altar. It's just not cool. Right. Okay. Yeah, essential oils are different. I mean, it's true. But do bathe before you bring your sacrifice, because don't be stinky. And wash your hands and your feet before you draw near the altar. And when you are done, why? Because Do you know what you might be been walking in? Just clean up. All right. Hey, when you're done sacrificing, wash again your hands and your feet, and let no blood appear upon you, nor upon your clothes. Be on your guard, my son, against blood. Be on your guard exceedingly. Cover it with dust. Do not eat any blood, for it is the soul. Do not eat any blood, for it is the soul. Do not eat any of the blood, for life is in the blood, right? Okay. I'm just saying something here. Eat no blood whatsoever. Don't wear it. Not even on your skin, right? Wash it off. Don't carry it with you. I mean, after all, yeah, think about it. What are flies attracted to? Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so cover it up, wash it off. Don't want any flies on you, the maggots, anything like that. Okay, and take no gifts for the blood of man, and take no gifts for the blood of man, lest it be shed with impunity without judgment. For it is the blood that is shed that causes the earth to sin. Ooh. In other words, yeah, we're not going to take the life of another person because of the blood. It's blood, not for us to take or do anything with. I mean, isn't it, he's kind of hitting the gamut. It's a full spectrum of blood. The full spectrum of Al Gore, no more bags of blood in your refrigerator. Okay? Just saying. And the earth cannot be cleansed from the blood of man, save by the blood of him who shed it. No, it's true. It really is. He had a refrigerator, fell off an airplane, and it was full of blood. I don't know if it's his blood. I don't know. Just just know that there's great revelations that are coming out of the Epstein files, and it's just not good. Okay. Verse 20, and take no present or gift for the blood of man, blood for blood, that you may be accepted before Yahweh El Elyon, for he is the defense of the good, that you may be preserved from all evil. And that is exactly right. He is the defense. I'm underlining that. And that he may save you from every kind of evil, death. Okay. Again, look, you're not going to pay me off to spill somebody else's blood. I mean, that's what he's telling his son, Isaac. Don't, no blood money. We're not doing that. All right. Why? Because he's telling them the enemy, the evil ruach, the evil spirits, the demonic realm feed off of the spilling of blood. Seriously. Do you ever wonder why Hasatan is called the Lord of the Flies? Because what are flies attracted to? I mean, it's just saying. And I see, verse 21, and I see, my son, that all the works of the children of men are sin and wickedness, and all their deeds are uncleanness and abomination and a pollution, and there is no righteousness with them. Beware lest you should walk in their ways and tread in their paths and sin a sin unto death before El Elyon. Else he will hide his face from you and give you back into the hands of your transgression and root you out of the land and your seed likewise from under heaven, and your name and your seed shall perish from the whole earth. Why did Israel get cut off from the land? Northern kingdom and southern kingdom? They set up two altars in the northern kingdom, one in the far north and one on the border with Judah. And what were they sacrificing there? I mean, how many times do we see that they were offering their sons and their daughters to Molech? It's true. It's what they're doing. They're still doing it today. Turn away from all their deeds and all their uncleanness and observe the ordinance of El Elyon and do his will and be upright in all things. And he will bless you in all your deeds and will raise up from you a plant of righteousness through all the earth, throughout all generations of the earth. and my name and your name shall not be forgotten under heaven forever. Go, my son, in peace. May El Elyon, my Elohim, and your Elohim strengthen you to do his will. May he bless all your seed and the remnant of your seed for the generations forever with all righteous blessings, that you may be a blessing on all the earth. And he went out from him rejoicing. It makes me think about one other application that comes from this. Do you realize that biblically speaking, the wars of Israel were defensive wars? They were defensive wars. They were given the land. All they had to do is keep the land, and there was always a chance for invaders. So why in the world isn't that just like a good principle to follow? Where where why go start wars when in reality what we need to do is defend ourselves against war? Um, and so I think we got some principles here because it's the same type of thing. I mean, don't be taking blood money to go wipe out an enemy. Uh, don't take money to spill blood. Very important. Oh, so many different things that this forum is not the right place to talk about. That's an interesting thought. It never dawned on me. Tammy said this. It never dawned on me that Yeshua's blood had to be shed because of Cain killing Abel, because his blood cried out from the earth. Interesting thoughts. And I thought it was Israel's adultery and all their evil. Yeah, that was part of it. Yeah, I mean it's true. All of these different things, the blood's crying out. It all goes back to the garden though, because where the what I believe, whatever you want to, however, whatever animal was used to be the covering for Adam and Eve, which I believe was a lamb, because it would have been that the lamb freely gave up its life in order to cover, to atone, to atone for Adam and Eve. That's why Yeshua died and shed his blood. It was to atone us, because it's just you think about the sin upon the sin upon the sin, and the rebellion, and that the rebellion of the unfaithful wife, that Yeshua had to come and die. He did. He laid down his life because there's no way he could remarry his bride unless he first died. That's just I mean, that's the principle. Many applications from that, but but that's but when you think about that, and where he said here earlier about the blood, he said in verse 18, remember back, he said, and do not eat any blood, for it is the soul. Eat no blood whatsoever. It's the soul, because life is in the blood. And never really thought of the blood being the soul, but it's an interesting concept. Now, this could be just a translation choice, because the soul is made up of the mind and the will and the emotions. But I don't know if I should even go there. There was some, and I read it in actually I read it in an article that was on X yesterday, and there's this discovery that they made, and that there's this low resonant frequency that we as humans have, that that I think in the past people have kind of written it off as that, kind of an ESP type of thing, but they've actually proven this with science. And that when we're connected with somebody, distance doesn't matter. That because of this low resonant frequency, it's possible to connect with another person. They could be, I mean, in the article it said 10,000 kilometers away. In fact, scientifically they were proving this. This is what the article was about. They're scientifically proving that people are connected on this, that from these frequencies that we emit and they emit and all of that, and people can connect. this is really, um, this is how I can relate to it. Uh, because I'm connected with my wife, Sandy. It is kind of the weirdest phenomenon, but it happens almost daily that I know exactly when she's going to call me. It's like my wife is thinking about me, and within 10 seconds, she calls me on the phone. It's like, it's the weirdest thing. I think, Sandy's about ready to call me. And then my phone rings. How is that? I mean, if you're a husband and wife, do you ever get that sense? It's because we have these connections between people, and it's built into us. And I think that's part of what this spiritual connection that Yahweh has put within us that connects us in so many dimensions. What connects us with the Most High? What connects us when we're praying for somebody that's 10,000 kilometers away or 10,000 miles away? Somebody that's on the other side of the earth, and that somehow our prayers can be felt by that person. That when we're praying for that person, and then that person, what wakes it, like we wake up in the middle of the night with somebody that's on our heart, we begin to pray, and we find out later on that that was the exact timing that they needed an intervention from Yahweh because of this connection. A lot of times we say, well, that's just the Holy Spirit. Yeah, but science is proving it. You can call it quantum entanglement. That's true. And yeah, like the Aborigines in Australia, they have a really keen sense about it. It's been proven multiple times that an Aborigine person that's working on a job will go to his employer and say, "I have to go. So and so and my family is dying right now." And it's like, "How do you know? Did you get a phone call?" No, I didn't get a phone call. Oh no, what happened? No, no. I don't know if y'all can hear me. My screen just blanked out completely. Never seen that before. Okay, if you can hear me, I'll be right back. I'm going to have to close out. Wow, that was weird. I mean, it's just like Chrome. just blanked out on me. I just wonder, like, what all happened there? Like, did the powers that be not like what I had to say? Okay, so what we're talking about was the this connection, the low frequencies and all of that. Um, I, all right, kind of got flustered there. Sorry. Yes, you could hear me, but we lost the video, but you could still hear me. That was so weird. All right, I rebooted. I couldn't even pull Chrome back up. That was really weird. All right, so um, but oh yeah, I was talking about the Aborigines, and they're saying, hey, yeah, uh, I gotta go. A family member's dying right now, and they go and they get on an airplane and they fly across the country and they go back to their home, and that's exactly what's going on. And what is it? The Aborigines are very sensitive to that type of thing, and I think it's part of it is it's more of a skill of listening, um, because in this Western world, a lot of times the noise causes us not to be sensitive, and that's just how we get that connection with the Holy Spirit and what the Holy Spirit's telling us, and what he's and and the things that he might be telling us that Yahweh's trying to tell us, and we're so tuned out of him that we don't hear him. But well, the more we learn how to listen to him, actually we start to learn to listen. So anyway, I just think it's a very unique phenomenon that somehow or another we've lost that as in our modern world, at least in the West we have. But all right, let's go on. We were in chapter 22, and um, because we just had yeah, we were talking about the blood because it's the soul. I think there's something about that quantum entanglement, and I think it's related to the blood because the blood is, we've talked about how it's charged, and you can take blood in a vial, take it all the way across the world, and then and put it, and we'll look at it and examine it, and it's still alive because it's quantumly still entangled with its donor. And that donor in the other country, they've discovered that when you subject that donor, the person who's still alive, whose blood is all the way across, in another continent, is subjected to like watching a horror film and is feeling fear, the blood, they're examining that blood while that person is experiencing whatever it is, the blood will also respond. So, why? Because that's the way we've been made. We are like interconnected. I mean, you think about this: the Schumer resonance that the Earth has, and why grounding is so important because of that ultra low frequency. That when you go and you put your feet on barefoot on the ground, that our body, it charges our body up. I think all of these things are really, really related. Yeah, Terry, our blood reacts. So yeah, because our gut has um, our gut is like our second brain, and that's why we get those gut feelings. I don't feel like something's right about this. It's not sitting well. There's a lot of people like in on 9/11, they didn't go to work that day. Why? Because of their gut. It's like, I just don't think I need to be going. Well, what was that? I bet you, because when we are more than just this physical being, we're connected supernaturally, that somehow or another we do connect with things that are happening in the present and with those things that are happening in the future and those that are happening on another continent. We can be connected. When we're listening, we're paying attention. And it is such an amazing thing how y'all has created us. And of course, when you think about, then you couple that with the Holy Spirit, and that the supernatural unction of the Holy Spirit that a believer has. Let me be more specific. When one is spirit filled, how much do we ignore, because the Spirit's speaking to us? And there's just so much, something we just need to, it's part of our maturing. And in that maturing is that developing process to have an ear. We incline our ear to Yahweh. I gave a message about that a couple months ago, about inclining our ear. It's very important in our walk, in our prayer walk, and also to connect with what Yah's doing supernaturally. Uh, that we could actually be the one who finds ourselves in a place because Yah has directed our path. It's not that we may have directed our path that day. Well, I'm just going to go to the grocery store. But why did we go down that aisle in the grocery store and started a conversation with somebody we didn't even know, other than Yah directed our path there, right? And then there's a supernatural thing that happens. So, I mean, or not. Sometimes we just stop and talk to people. But I think that we as being divinely connected, we need to always see our paths being led by Yahweh, even though it seems so random. Seriously. So, and it came to pass, just chapter 2, verse 1, in the first week, in the 44th Jubilee, in the second year, that is the year in which Abraham died, because he was 175, that Yitzhak and Ishmael came from the well of the oath to celebrate the feast of Shavuot. That is the feast of the first fruits of the harvest to Abraham, their father, and Abraham rejoiced because his two sons had come. For Yitzhak had many possessions in Beersheba, and Yitzhak was wont to go and see his possessions and return to his father. And in those days Ishmael came to see his father, and they both came together, and Yitzhak offered a sacrifice for a burnt offering and presented it on the altar of his father, which he had made in Hebron. And he offered a thank offering and made a feast of joy before Ishmael, his brother, and Rivka made new cakes from the new grain and gave them to Yaakov. Remember, I mean, that's part of the Shavuot offering, right? The blessing, and the priest would lift up the two loaves. So she makes cakes. So she made some bread, and because it's the harvest, and presented on the altar. Wait a minute, and in those days Ishmael came to see his father, and they both came together. And Isaac offered a sacrifice for a burnt offering and presented on the altar of his father, which he had made in Hebron. And he offered a thank offering and made a feast of joy before Ishmael his brother. And Rivka, get that right, and made new cakes from the new grain and gave them to Yaakov her son, to take them to Abraham his father from the first fruits of the land, that he might eat and bless the Creator of all things before he died. Where's Esau? It says Yaakov took it to his father, not Esau. And Esau too sent by the hand of Yaakov to Avram a best thank offering, that he might eat and drink. And he ate and drank and blessed Elion, who has created heaven and earth, who has made all the fat things of the earth, and given them to the children of men, that they might eat and drink and bless their Creator. Isn't that what we do when we eat? Is to bless our Creator, because he gave us the fat things. He gave us that food and blessed us. And now I give thanks to you, my Elohim, because you have caused me to see this day. Behold, I'm 115 years. I think that's 175. Yep, it is. An old man and full of days, and all my days have been unto me peace. The sword and the adversary has not overcome me in all that you've given me and my children all the days of my life until this day. Okay, think about this. Isn't it true? It doesn't say he didn't have to use his sword, is that his adversary never overcame him. Right? It's important. Sword did not overcome him. Verse 9, my Elohim, may your mercy and your peace be upon your servant, upon the seed of his sons, that they may be to you a chosen nation, an inheritance from amongst all the nations of the earth, from henceforth until all the days of the generations of the earth, until all the ages. And he called Yaakov and said, my son Yaakov, may the Elohim of all bless you and strengthen you to do righteousness and his will before him, and may he choose you and your seed, that you may become a people for his inheritance, according to his will always. And do you, my son Yaakov, draw near and kiss me. And he drew near and kissed him, and said, blessed be my son Yaakov, and all the sons of Elion, unto all the ages. May Elohim give unto you a seed of righteousness. And some of your sons may he sanctify in the midst of the whole earth. May nations serve you, and all the nations bow themselves before your seed. Be strong in the presence of men, and exercise authority over all the seed of Sheth. Then your ways and the ways of your sons will be justified, so that they shall become a holy nation. May Elion give you all the blessings wherewith he has blessed me, and wherewith he blessed Noah and Adam. May they rest on the sacred head of your seed from generation to generation forever. Okay, we're going to stop right there in the middle of this blessing because we're out of time, because some power that be did not want us to be in the middle of this as we were talking about the quantum entanglements. But glad you were with me today. Glad that we were able to share this time together. You could have been watching the State of the Union address, but you shared it with me. Appreciate it. We'll see y'all next time. This is John Craig. We're walking in spirit and truth. Shalom.
If you missed today's show or want to watch it again, or want to tell someone where they can watch this episode, go to lambnetwork.tv, where you will find this show and all the other live Lamb show archives in the on-demand section of the website. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to tell someone about the Messianic Lamb Network. We are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussions, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the lambnetwork.tv website. I'm Sandi Craig, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network.